My second live video in a challenge that a friend gave me the other day, and so I'm out doing this. Hope you'll realize this is a pretty casual thing, and that going live is a little different than doing videos ahead of time. And so I think often of Abraham Lincoln's quote where he said that if he had to speak for an hour, he prepared for an hour, but if he had to speak for 5 minutes, he prepared for a week. Obviously, that's a paraphrase, and I actually don't even know if the quote can be directly attributed to him. I looked it up the other day, and I don't think it is, but I always said that it was. And so anyway, I am here. This is a challenge for me to go live and totally move out of my comfort zone. My kids are playing lacrosse, so I'm wearing some fun lacrosse earrings I got from them for them earlier, so they won't be interrupting me. But I'm out in the park, and I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I could tip my camera down just a little bit. Wrong way. But my husband got me this lovely shirt, Appalachian Strong. In fact, I think I was wearing it last night when I did my video. Whoops, just adjusting here. Honestly, so yeah, here's live video 101. You catch me casually wearing the same shirt 2 days in a row. I'm excited because I honestly got to wear it. We waited a long time since the flooding. It's in our backyard. If you heard about Hurricane Helene, it was, yeah, I'm not laughing about that. I'm laughing because my husband got me this lovely shirt as a gift. And it took almost a month to arrive. It turned out it was shipped from Bulgaria. So whoever the person is in Bulgaria doing business, good on you. But it was a little bit longer wait for the shirt, and it was just such a lovely gift. I've worn it a couple days back to back. I might even wear it tomorrow. Anyway, today I wanted to just share a little bit about rest. And honestly, this shirt is actually kind of fitting because it makes me really think about the fact that we, with Hurricane Helene, it's been a really intense month here in our neighborhood. Our family wasn't directly impacted by the flooding. Our house was just off the Nolichucky River, and so we were just high enough that it didn't impact us. But there were families in our community absolutely devastated, and not far from us into western North Carolina, where I think some of the flooding was even worse. And so I was thinking of this rest being Sunday. It was a good reason to talk about it, and it's been kind of a running theme in my life, something I feel like God's been challenging me about lately. And I just sense the anxiety in our culture. There is just such an elevated anxiety all the way around that I pick up on a constant basis. And I was talking just the other day with this young man that we've basically adopted into our family, unofficially at this point, but young man, just absolutely amazing. And he's been volunteering his time. In fact, he quit his job to help run stuff up. Well, not only locally help with all the needs, but I think it's been almost 29 days in a row that he said he's been going back and forth to Western North Carolina and even East Tennessee, taking things in by trailers and trucks. He got to deliver like camping trailers to families up in there and just help gift amazing stuff. But and in this stress of all this, and the craziness, I was just reminded of just the impact of just these stressful seasons. And I was just trying to remind him to rest and take time to breathe and rest, because otherwise he could burn out. And we don't want him to burn out. He's making such a big difference. But it really reminded me of a story in my life, an experience where I think the first time that rest was really driven home to me was when I was in my 20s. I worked for a number of wilderness therapy programs, well, a number of outdoor education and tourism, adventure tourism programs, but I was also working for a wilderness therapy program, well, a few of them, but particularly the first few, I had done some 21-day courses, and that was like the epitome in the outdoor industry that I was, the fields I was in at the time. But then I was invited to go do to work with a program in Alaska, a wilderness therapy program there that did 46-day expeditions. And I was super excited in every way. It felt like a promotion to be invited to go work with this company. Lots of reasons. And it was based out of Wrangell in Southeast Alaska. I'd spent a lot of time in Alaska years prior, and I grew up in northern British Columbia, which was like a little tiny town in the Alaska Highway, something like 500 miles east of Juneau, Alaska, if you know your geography and you drew a line. But anyway, here I was. I'd flown into Wrangell and showed up in this tiny little town, something like 2,000 people. And when the course started, we were taken by jet boat, something like, I don't know, it seemed like about an hour down the Inside Passage. And the base where we were going to be working, there was about, I think there was about 10 young girls on this course, teenagers from probably the age of 12 to 17. And so the way this program operated, we had a base of operations. And so we were jet boated down with our initial round of supplies. Of course, for that long of a course, we had to have multiple resupplies of food and whatnot. But this program had a more or less a flotilla that we were taken to. It was like a houseboat on a barge. It's hard to describe, but basically it was nestled in kind of a cove off of this small little island on the lee side of it, so it was protected from all the storms that could still come in off the west coast into the Inside Passage. And so we showed up, and I mean, this is, imagine, I mean, I don't even think a small single wide trailer would have fit on this barge, but it was kind of like a modified 2-story tiny little house. I don't even know if it was 30 feet long. And then on both sides, and maybe 10 feet wide, maybe 15 feet wide, but on both sides of it, there were these 2 larger platforms so we could do lessons and things outside. Maybe it was a little bit bigger. It's been a long time, but let's say there was like 20 by 20 platforms on both sides of this to give it stability in when weather hit. And so we basically landed, and we had boats, but they were locked up so the kids couldn't go anywhere. And so this was a way to contain the kids geographically, but also it was for safety. I think there's some people throwing disc golf course behind me, but anyway. And so these kids were contained on this barge, and it would mitigate how many would try to run away, but it also was protection from all the grizzly bears, the brown bears that you find all over, and they are prone to be found and swim to different islands. And so it was a way of protection. So anyway, we did this course. It was one of the only courses or programs in the country I know that took violent youth. And so it was pretty exceptional, the work that I got to do with this organization. But the whole thing was, I was there for 46 days. We did a mountaineering phase, we did a sea kayaking phase, and a backpacking phase. We did a river, we did like a 2-week paddling river trip, not really whitewater, but definitely river expedition on the Stikine River in northern BC, coming down into the coast of Alaska. And the only break in that 46 days that I had was 3 days in the middle of that river expedition. We had something called a solo, and we would put these kids out on basically a 3-day supervised solo experience. And it really required them they weren't supposed to be talking. There was minimal interruption of anything else. I think most of them didn't even have a book. I think all they had was a journal and something to keep warm and a shelter. And every day we would deliver food and pick it up and do water resupplies for these kids. But we put them out in places they couldn't see anyone else, and that they couldn't talk or communicate, or very minimally if they were to start yelling or hollering. But we could hear them if there was an issue, and we would check on them really strategically when they didn't even know we were checking on them. And so the instructors always look forward to solos, because that's the time that you get a rest in the middle of your expedition. And the course overall was highly successful. It was just an absolutely amazing experience. This particular one that I'm thinking of, the first one that I ever did. But when I got back, I just remember being so aware that I had just worked 46 days nonstop, and even my 3 days off, although we weren't moving or traveling or teaching or presenting, there was still high levels of risk. You're always looking out for bear. You're always, watchful. And there's just hazards in just the geography that you're at. And so I finished that expedition, and I honestly think it took me 30 days to recover or more. It probably took close to 46 days to recover from that experience. And the lesson for me was just like, how many people spend 46 years of their life living in this tunnel of just constant work and in the grind, especially as an entrepreneur or in business, you hear that to succeed, there's going to be a grind. And but most of these people are not experiencing rest or the profound level of rest that is needed. And is it any wonder that we hear of all these heart attacks and the anxiety and the strokes? And I say this because now I want to just kind of bridge this connection. I'm a God-fearing, Jesus-loving woman. And so if you've shown up on this channel, it's a lot about the predominant theme is the power to get wealth, which I believe comes from God. And there's reasons that God wants to entrust us with wealth, and that's to be blessed, to be a blessing, and to be radically generous. And those are other things I can get into at other times or later. But the point is, in the Bible, which is for me the handbook, if the God of the universe created us, then he might actually know what our optimal peak performance is and how to achieve that. And I find it really interesting in the 10 commandments that are given, along with thou shalt not murder and thou shalt not steal, all these things. Fourth commandment. The fourth commandment is to honor the Sabbath, and that it's holy. It's different than all the rest of the days of the week. That taking a Sabbath and a rest day was a command. And later in the book, the holy book, many chapters, I think a few books later, there are, it's probably in there a couple times, but there is at least one place that I know of where the Sabbath is so important that there was a capital punishment law. Basically, if you violated the Sabbath and you worked on it, you could be killed. Now that seems extreme to most of us now, and most Christians, of course, don't live from that place or believing that should happen. But what if there's a principle here at play, and that is that there was capital punishment in the old days, but what if we're living, in a sense, putting ourselves under this ability, like we are shortening our lifespan, we're limiting our ability to live fully, and by trying to do it all in our own strength and trying to work on a constant level. And there's many people I know that look at it as like, okay, this is the day off, and now they use that as the catch-up day for everything they're not doing where they're making money at a job. They come home, and that's the day to do meal prep. That's the day to do the lawn. That's the day to catch up on laundry. It's the day to clean the house. And that's really a hard place to live. And so my challenge to you today is, do you want to be like everybody else? Do you want to live the life like everyone else around you? Because when I look around, I don't see very many people that are succeeding in a way that is beautiful and attractive, and like living in harmony with how God's created us. There are some, and that I see, but I challenge you, like, who are you looking at as your model? And do they really have it all figured out? Because there's a lot of people that grind away and they're really good and they succeed in business, but their family is destroyed in the process, or their health is completely destroyed, and other relationships. And, or they succeed in business financially, but they lose all the other relationships in business along the way. And so it's really, when I was putting this video up, I wanted to title it, I thought of I think it's Shakespeare that says, to be or not to be, that is the question. So is it to rest or not to rest? That is the question. And I'm just here today to pose a question for you and just say, in my own life, I got really clear in my mid-20s how important rest was. And I did not want to be somebody that worked in such a way that I worked for 46 years and suddenly realized how important rest was and that I should have been resting along the way. I wanted to make rest a part of my life. Now, I am definitely speaking from a place that I've not mastered this, and I've had tunnel vision, and being married and trying to partner with my husband in totally different values, and you're trying to merge values and beliefs in how you do things, and there's been a tension because he tends to want to work more in ways, and you gotta like, there's been many seasons that I have worked more nonstop than I would like anybody to know. And it's cost me in ways that I'm now seeing. And so I guess I can speak from experience that not just in this 46-day microcosm snapshot of life, but I've seen it play out in my own life. And I can tell you, in the last couple of years since we've moved to East Tennessee, we have really, one of the commitments we've made is to take a Sabbath. We don't do it every week, and it's, I know we can argue about what day of the week that is, and at this point that's semantics, and my challenge is for you to find a rest day. Excuse me. But I'll tell you, I feel like our lives have so much more beauty, rhythm, grace, bandwidth. We have more margin in our life. There's more joy in our marriage. There's more peace in our home since we've been doing this. And again, we haven't done it every week. And, even just last week, I tried to do it. That was my plan, but we had a dinner party and I was trying to clean up and deal with the crap from a couple weeks of previous stuff. And I spent way too many hours. I spent 3 hours probably before our company came trying to plow through some stuff. And afterward just kind of kicked myself and was like, man, I just missed my opportunity. Between church and our company coming, I just happened to squeeze in 3 hours of mad cleaning. That was not what I wanted to. And, I just didn't have the self-discipline to just stop and say no to myself. But I had another experience of just getting to go, okay, I get to recalibrate and what's important now. So this, I think, video has gone on a little longer than I meant for it to go on, but this is the casualness of it, and I hope you will stick around. I would love to talk tomorrow. I know with all the elections coming, it's craziness, but the word that's come to me is, let me just glance because I got to look at my notes because I literally blanked here in the moment. Prepared, not scared. And I just, for some reason, that phrase really has resonated with me. And so here in America, elections, the big day is Tuesday. There's lots of anxiety and stress on both sides. But I just wanted to speak for a moment about that. Prepared, not scared. No matter what side of the aisle you want to be on, or you find yourself on, or whether you're not even engaging in a political scene, I think it's something that there might be something in this live video. If you want to check back, it'll probably be about the same time tomorrow, and I'll post it right after this so that I get it scheduled and keep my commitment to myself for the next 10 days, as it were. So I hope you enjoyed some of the beauty behind me. And I hope to see you again tomorrow or on another live stream. And I hope you'll hang out on this channel. I'm looking forward to doing some big stuff. We've got a lot of things, my husband and I, in the works, and things are just moving fast, and I'm really excited. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hanging out and sharing your day with me. Ciao.